Happy 4th of July. I thought today we should talk a little bit about the day itself. If I were to title this series of comments anything, it would be "We are the Patriots," and they are not. In St. John's Church in 1775, a patriot stepped forward, Patrick Henry, and he spoke of others who had spoken that day in that church. And he said, "No man thinks more highly than I do of patriotism," but he had a different view of it in the context of 1775. Patrick Henry was, if anything, plain spoken. He said, "It is natural for man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts." You see what we're talking about. You know that that's happening now and here, and not in 1775 and 2025. Those who hope against reality, who do nothing, that's a special prison. That's a prison against freedom. Henry advised in 1775, "Don't trust that insidious smile with which our petition has been lately received," meaning the petitions to the king, to Great Britain. In our day, we submitted a petition in opposition to the big bad bill. And don't take my word for it. Look at all the surveys that we've had that say exactly that. So we've made a petition. It has been ignored. It has been contradicted. Individual members of the Senate and the House are taking care of themselves. That is, that they can return to their phony baloney jobs, as Mel Brooks said in Blazing Saddles. So another thing that encouraged the ascent of the colonials, and it's evident today, is Henry asked, what means this martial array, meaning troops around America? He said, "These are the implements of war and subjugation, the last argument to which kings resort." Trump has resorted to this and given some shade that it's us, you and I, by saying it's about immigrants. But those who protest who are not immigrants, those who stand up to be counted and to encourage, by access to our government, a change in its policy, are beaten in the street, and troops, Marines, are loose in our nation in violation of our laws. So, may we indulge the fine hope of peace and reconciliation? I don't think so. There are people who say that now, and people who put off the ways that this will be stopped, in state elections or midterm elections. This is a challenge to our very nature of government, and it's not easily disposed of. Now, as we know, today we're celebrating it. On July 4th, 1776, there issued a Declaration of Independence. Does this administration find what's said in that document self-evident, namely that all men are created equal? Exactly the opposite. So can you be a patriot and defy what our Declaration of Independence said was self-evident? Plainly not. Do persons enjoy certain inalienable rights? Trump has done everything he can to limit, discourage, deny these rights. What about respect for the public welfare? Not evident. What about freedom in so many ways? The pursuit of happiness? Do we think of Trump as dread? Do we find happiness every day when we think of Trump, when we read what he says, when we see what he does? So we resist, insist, seek to desist. Now, this dark orange cloud of constraint hovers over us every day, increasingly in ways we never considered that a president would act. What we are suffering is hate and the destruction of our republic, piece by piece. And we're right now in an end zone in which it is important how we move forward. Because if we fail this test, we fail the promise that was America in 1776. It remains the case that our government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. What can you say about an administration that contradicts, restrains, denies the consent of the government. The big bad bill is one thing, powers of war is another. We have a whole party of Republicans who disrespect their responsibility, don't fulfill it, cower because they would rather be reelected than to serve their oath and protect our nation. Our Constitution provides in its very first words, we the people, we, you and I, we, our forebears, made a compact with each other. It was to form a more perfect union. Trump is not forming a perfect union. He is destroying the union we have. Because if he can balkanize, factionalize, break our nation into smaller units, no longer the one, e pluribus unum, into several, into many, he creates chaos. And that's a substitute for union, because the only union he wants is the union in the one, him, as our dictator. Our Constitution seeks to establish justice, not a vengeance vessel of vile, unlawful misconduct to get even for a slight experienced in a campaign. And it's a nation that Trump cares not to recognize. Do we have domestic tranquility? Our Constitution says so. I don't think so. In fact, Trump does everything he can to destroy tranquility, peace, security, safety. He talks to us about suffering, about how bad our nation is, and so how he's going to make it better. And each step, though he says is making it better, is making it worse by the standards by which we define this nation and who we are. Are we securing the blessings of liberty as the Constitution provides for you and for me and all of us, the we of our Constitution? No, we're not. In fact, at every turn, we see people disappearing and being suffered and not having due process, which is an element of the amendments to the Constitution. What do we make of that? Are we promoting or denying the general welfare? Now, that's a special question today because as I say this, depending upon when you get to see it, I believe Trump is going to sign a bill that destroys the general welfare and the particular welfare and leaves everybody with an uncertainty that more worse is to come. I hear you in my mind and feel you saying we are being ignored, punished, compromised, hurt, as our notion is being transformed into a vehicle for the dirty rich. And eventually, if Trump has his way, it'll be to Trump alone. You don't think that's possible? Ask the richest man on earth, ask Elon Musk how that works. When Trump is done with you, he is done with you. You are out of the picture. On April 30th, 1789, George Washington gave his first inaugural address. He noted that as the head of the executive department, it's the duty of the president, now listen to these words, to recommend to your consideration, that's the Congress, such measures as he, the president, shall judge necessary and expedient. That's not how it works. Trump tells Congress what it's to do. Trump coerces and creates fear for those who hold these jobs that they may lose them, and so they would rather take care of themselves than to fulfill their oath. And some who have fulfilled their oath felt that they had to resign rather than stay. And you can understand what a terrible place the Congress is. I've been on the Hill when the Democrats were in the minority. But in the Senate, I saw a cordiality, but by the time I was working in the House, it was gone. And you can see from the outside that there's hardly a handshake that doesn't come with a reserve of hate and discrimination and fear, even talking to somebody from the other side, that they will not do what Trump wants them to do. Trump has defined Washington's fine example as his own misconduct. That is to say, Washington may have been the example of a chief executive for any successor to follow, But Trump totally ignores Washington. Washington is always among our finest presidents because he eschewed becoming a king in his power as the President of the United States. Washington embraced the view of discouraging local prejudice or attachments, no separate views nor party animosities. He wanted it to work. On June 16th, 1858, we have another document. It's a very short document, but most of us, including myself, memorized it and delivered it at various places, often on the 4th of July. On June 16th, 1858, Abraham Lincoln stood in a battlefield. And he was not yet the head of the nation and the Republican Party, and he cautioned against, quote, "a house divided against itself cannot stand." Trump understands that. The difference between the founder of the Republican Party and Trump is that he wants a house divided. He wants it fractured. He wants there to be such chaos that truth is not effective and power is the operational change in our world and what we can expect from our government. Lincoln said in 1863 at Gettysburg, he wished for a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. As it was when Patrick Henry broached the question of patriotism, so it was our purpose when Lincoln wished for a new birth of freedom. Opposing and resisting Trump is to fight for a new birth of freedom. And we absolutely need it. It is existential. It will define us for the world. And it will take care of not only our pursuit of happiness, but for those we care about, friends and children. We shall overcome as we have before. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.